Minister, thank you so much for joining us. Peru is hosting the next major global climate change meeting in December. Do you think you can build upon what was discussed at the most recent summit in New York? And what would you ask of countries like China and the United States to come to an agreement?
What we would like to see from countries like China and the US and other important players as well is the political will to agree to a convention with clear targets, with clear numbers in terms of reduction of the greenhouse effect gases. But as well, we would like to see from China, from the US, and from all of the countries, commitments in terms of the national measures that each one is going to tackle in order to reduce emissions. And finally, a significant contribution, financial contribution, pledges to the Green Fund in order to finance mitigation and adaptation measures in developing countries.
You recently met with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry here in Washington, and you discussed climate change, but he also praised Peru's efforts in stopping drug trafficking. Did you ask the United States for more help to fight the drug cartels?
Well, we have a very close cooperation in fighting against the illegal trafficking of drugs. And we are having a program that covers three aspects. First, the one related to exchange of information. The second, trying to fight against the production of illegal drugs. And third, and very important, the economic development of the areas where drug trafficking has taken place. And this third aspect of the cooperation is quite important to us because it implies substitution of our crops and creation of new employment and production opportunities for farmers in that region of Peru.
I want to ask you something that happened in July. A leader of the Tijuana cartel was arrested in Peru. He was living in the home of a Peruvian congressperson. Are you concerned about the growing influence of the Mexican drug cartels in Peru?
For us, it's really a problem. It's really an element that can create corruption. That's why we are devoting so much efforts and money and finance in fighting against drug trafficking. And let me tell you something which for us is very important. We have a significant cooperation from the US in this area, but also we would like to extend the coverage of this cooperation to some other countries. The main destination for drugs coming from Peru now, it's Europe. So we are working with several European countries in order to enhance the cooperation with Europe in fighting against drug trafficking as well.
Uruguay recently legalized marijuana, and so did a few states here in the US. Would Peru ever consider legalizing marijuana or any drug to combat the illegal drug trade?
We don't think that that's a solution for Peru at this moment. The problem of drug trafficking and drug production cannot be solved now in Peru through legalization. It's a different situation than the one we are having here in Colorado or Uruguay, and in those places it's mainly related to marijuana. The problem in Peru is different. It's the production of coca, cocaine, and it has a different connotation because it's not only the consumption. We have the production, we have the trafficking, we have the linking of some drug traffickers with the small groups that still exist of violent movements in Peru. So we don't feel that legalization of the use of drugs will be a solution for our country.
How does Peru currently see the OAS, the Organization of American States? With so many other organizations and groups, can it still be effective? Your country had the chance to play a major role in supporting the candidacy of a new secretary, but you decided against it. Why?
Well, the process now in the OAS for the election of new Secretary General, it's a long process. It's going to end up probably by the first part of next year. So we still have a lot of opportunities to see how we can select the best person for that job. But aside from that, the OAS, we feel, needs to refocus mainly in three important areas. Refocus in the promotion of the democracy, refocus and trying to be more precise in the dealing with the problems of human rights in the region, and finally trying to promote also development, because that's an area which is not being privileged in the agenda of OAS.
And what about the issue of Cuba?
Well, let me tell you, we have been discussing these days about the presence of Cuba in the Conference of the Americas, and our position is that it's important for everybody to be present, but also it's very important for all the subjects to be tackled. It's not only to limit the presence of a group of countries. We would like to see all American countries be present there, but also we would like to see all the relevant subjects discussed in that conference.
Peru has good business partners in the Pacific Alliance with Chile and Mexico. What does Peru hope to accomplish next month at the APEC summit in Beijing? Do you think collectively you can get better deals as a group?
Well, we feel that the APEC is the right springboard to connect the Asia-Pacific region. We would like to see a more action-oriented APEC. You know, for many years we have been discussing what is called the free trade area of the Asia-Pacific. And that has not been quite a priority lately, but now it's again on the table. So we would like to see how could we tackle this, how could advance the idea of free trade in the region.
Officials from your government have warned of an economic slowdown because of weaker export prices for minerals that Peru sells to Asia. Is your country ready for the slowdown?
We are taking measures in order to face this bump in the road, and from what the Ministry of Finance is reporting to us, most probably this situation would be overcome by next year. And it's true, Peru depends a lot on the price of metals and minerals in the market, and especially our relationship with Asia, and particularly with China, which is one of our main, well, maybe now our second trading partner. And there, the effort of Peru is to diversify as well. This is a subject that in the last days we have been talking with Secretary Kerry and people from the State Department, the need to open new trading opportunities for Peru here in the States, but as well in countries like China. You know, I've been ambassador to China for almost 3 years. I really have a great affection for the Chinese people and the country. And there, one of my main efforts was also to diversify the presence of Peruvian exports in the Chinese market.
Well, you mentioned your time in China recently. How would you characterize relations between Peru and China? What do you see in the future for these two countries?
Well, I think the relationship between China and Peru is excellent. It's I don't know if you are aware, but Peru is the country in Latin America which has the most important Chinese presence in all the region. 1 in every 10 Peruvians has some Chinese blood. So we have 3 million people that are in a small or big way descendants from Chinese migrants. So Chinese culture is part of the Peruvian culture. And this has created greater links in the economic, commercial area, but as well cultural and social. So I think it's difficult to imagine a better relationship than the one that exists between China and Peru.
Minister Gonzalo Gutierrez, thank you so much for joining us here on America's Now.
Vielen Dank.
America's Now